The smell of roasted chicken filled the house, wrapping the air in warmth and comfort. Astra placed the last dish on the dining table, smiling faintly at her own attempt to make dinner feel special. Her phone buzzed. The name flashing on the screen made her heart drop. Jallan. He was supposed to be working late at the law firm. She wiped her hands on a towel and answered. Hello? Astra, we need to talk. His voice was calm, almost detached, as if he were announcing the weather. Next week, on Wednesday, the whole family is going to Palm Springs for a week. I've already booked the flights and a vacation rental. Her fingers tightened around the phone. That strange, familiar ache rose in her chest again. The whole family? She asked with forced cheerfulness. Your parents, your brother Marcus, his new girlfriend, your aunt, and your cousin. That's 6 people already. The rental only has 3 bedrooms. Maybe it'll be too crowded. You don't have to include me. He didn't even hesitate. Oh, I see. Well, you have a wonderful time, Astra. I knew you'd understand, he said with a sigh of relief. You're the most accommodating person I know. Oh, and don't forget to water my succulents while I'm gone. Right, she whispered. The call ended. The phone screen went black, just like the light inside her heart. This was the 3rd time. 3 years of marriage, and she had never once been invited on their family trips. The first time, he'd said she needed rest after the miscarriage. The second, that her job was too demanding. Now, he didn't even bother inventing an excuse. She cleared the table mechanically, dumping food into the trash. Her hands trembled, and a plate slipped, shattering on the tile floor. The shards scattered like broken pieces of herself. Something that once looked perfect, but cracked at the slightest pressure. Her phone buzzed again, a message in the family group chat. Guys, we're doing Palm Springs again this year. Don't forget sunscreen. Her mother-in-law had sent it, followed by a stream of laughing emojis. Tears welled up. The whole family, the message said. But to them, she was not family. She was a stranger who cooked, cleaned, and kept quiet. Astra picked up a photo from last year's trip to San Diego. Jallan with his arm around Marcus, both smiling. His mother, in her flashy dress, sitting proudly in the middle. Everyone laughing under palm trees and ocean light. And she, Astra, had been at home with a fever, listening to his voice on the phone saying, Take some Tylenol and rest. We're on a boat. Bad signal. Gotta go. Her tears dripped onto the broken ceramic as she bent to pick up the pieces. A sharp edge cut her finger, but the sting felt distant, almost merciful compared to the ache in her chest. Then her phone rang again. Serena, her best friend for more than 10 years. Astra wiped her eyes quickly and answered with a fake smile. Serena, you wouldn't believe the rude client who came into the salon today. Stop it, Serena cut in. Your eyes are red. What happened? Nothing. I was cutting onions. Don't lie to me, Serena said softly. What did that jerk Jallan do this time? Astra hesitated. Then her walls fell. In a quiet voice, she told her everything. The trip, the excuses, the loneliness. I feel like they're laughing at me, she whispered. You? Serena said sharply. No, Astra. It's them making fools of themselves. Wake up. These people don't see you as family. Astra went silent. She already knew it. She just hadn't wanted to admit it. Her mind drifted back to her wedding day. The vows, the promises, the way Jallan had looked at her with love that now felt like fiction. How did everything fall apart so quietly? Then Serena's tone shifted. You still have the prenup, right? Astra nodded. Yes. A month before the wedding, he insisted. Said it was a family tradition. I signed it to prove I wasn't after his money. And the house. That's in your name, right? Yes. My parents gave it to me as a wedding gift. It's registered only under my name. Good, Serena said. Then, after a pause, take care of yourself. And when his family leaves, come stay with me for a few days. You shouldn't be alone. Astra smiled faintly. Thanks, but I'll be fine. After the call, she stood by the window, watching the lawn Jalin had been so proud of. Her parents had paid for the house. She had handled every renovation, every detail. His family had contributed a token amount, yet insisted his name be added to the deed. A man needs to keep up appearances, they'd said. That night, she went to bed alone again. He was working late, as always. Lying in the dark, she stared at the ceiling and asked herself the question she'd avoided for years. Do I really want to stay married to this man? For 3 years, she had tried to be the perfect wife, gentle, patient, understanding, and in return, she had received silence, neglect, and exclusion. Her phone lit up. Honey, I'll be gone next week, so make sure to lock the doors. And Mum wants you to buy her some gifts typical of Palm Springs. Get nice boxes for them. Astra began to laugh. It was not a happy laugh. It was the sound of something breaking and freeing itself all at once. That's it, she thought. This is the end. No more pretending. She opened her messages and typed to Serena. Are you free tomorrow? I need legal advice. Outside, the moon hung cold and bright, like the final witness to a love that no longer existed. The next morning, sunlight crept through the curtains, landing softly on the side of the bed that had stayed empty all night. Jalin hadn't come home again. It was the 7th time that month. Astra rose slowly, her body heavy with exhaustion. She stood before the mirror, studying the faint lines beneath her eyes and the dullness of her skin. She was only 29, yet her reflection looked older, a woman drained by years of quiet suffering. She brushed her hair, applied makeup to hide the traces of tears, and reached for an elegant pantsuit. Jalin always said dresses made her look like a model wife. Today, she didn't want to look like anyone's wife. The doorbell rang. Through the peephole, Astra saw Serena, sharp-eyed as always, short hair framing her serious face. She held 2 coffees and a paper bag filled with pastries. I knew you wouldn't have breakfast, Serena said, stepping inside without waiting for an invitation. Americano with a little milk, no sugar, and your favorite croissant. Astra smiled weakly. The scent of coffee warmed the room. In this whole city, Serena was the only one who still remembered her small preferences. Jalin didn't even know she was allergic to peanuts. Once, he had served her a salad full of them at a family gathering, insisting she try it because it's delicious. They sat down at the table. Serena opened her laptop, all business. Tell me exactly what you need help with. Astra hesitated. Then, with a deep breath, she said, If I wanted to get a divorce, how could I protect my rights? Serena's eyes gleamed. Finally, you've come to your senses. Her fingers flew over the keyboard. Let's start with the basics. You said the house is in your name? Yes. It was a wedding gift from my parents. But 6 months after the wedding, Jalin insisted on adding his name for appearances. I gave in. Serena frowned. He pressured you? Every day. Said all his co-workers' wives had done it. That it looked bad at work. Typical manipulation, Serena muttered. All right. Since it was a separate asset before marriage, we can argue that the down payment and its appreciation belong to you. Who paid for renovations? I did. About $70,000 from my savings. His family added maybe 15. Do you have proof? Yes. Contracts, receipts, everything. Good, Serena said, satisfied. Now, what about income? How much does he make? Astra hesitated. He said around 100,000 a year, but we keep separate accounts. He gives me $100 monthly for groceries. Serena froze, her eyes wide. 100? You've been married 3 years. Astra's voice wavered. He said he was saving for his parents' medical bills. Serena slammed her hand on the table. Astra, open your eyes. They're using you. That's not a marriage. That's exploitation. Astra bit her lip. Even she couldn't deny it anymore. From the outside, people saw luxury. The car, the house, the polished life. But inside, she was counting coins to buy herself a decent coat, while Jalan gifted his mother gold jewelry worth tens of thousands. Serena leaned forward. We need to find out what he's hiding. Does he have a computer at home? Documents? Anything? His office is locked, Astra replied. He says it's confidential. Do you have a key? Yes, an emergency one. Serena's voice turned cautious. Then use it, but be careful. Look for bank statements, investments, anything suspicious. And Astra, she hesitated. If he's cheating, we'll need proof. The word cheating hit like a slap. Astra's stomach tightened. She'd suspected for months. The long nights, the secrecy, the faint perfume that wasn't hers. But hearing it out loud made the air around her heavy. After Serena left, Astra stood before the locked office door, key trembling in her hand. She remembered their wedding vows, the promise to trust each other, respect each other's privacy. That vow had already been broken, just not by her. The key turned with a soft click. The room smelled faintly of his cologne. Everything was in perfect order. Books aligned by height, not a speck of dust on the desk. She opened the drawers. The top one held legal documents, nothing personal. The middle drawer, family photo albums, mostly pictures of him with his parents, his brother, his cousins. Only a few of her, always at the edges. The bottom drawer was locked. Her pulse quickened. She scanned the room and noticed a small safe hidden behind the bookshelf. Jalan had bought it last year. She knelt and began trying combinations. Their anniversary, error. His birthday, error. Then, with a bitter smile, she tried his mother's birthday. Click. Inside, neat stacks of documents. On top, the property deed. Astra unfolded it and froze. The owner section listed both names, Jalan Black and Astra Miller, joint tenancy. Her breath caught. She remembered clearly that when she'd agreed to add his name, it was only as a minority share. Now it showed 50-50. Her hands shook as she kept searching. Bank statements, one after another, all in his name. The balances were staggering. He had told her he had around 150,000 in savings. The truth was closer to 1.5 million. Worse, there were regular transfers, thousands each month, to a woman named Valerie. At the bottom of the stack lay a velvet jewelry box. Inside was a diamond necklace she had never seen before, with a Tiffany's receipt. The purchase date, her birthday. The price, $25,000. Her own birthday gift that year had been a small bouquet of flowers. Underneath the receipt was a photo. Jalan by a resort pool, arm wrapped around a young woman, both in matching swimsuits, smiling for the camera. On the back, in his handwriting, "To my love, Valerie, Palm Springs, August last year." Astra's knees gave way. That was the exact week he'd claimed to be on a business trip. Her phone buzzed. A message from him. Honey, I'll be late tonight. Work dinner. She zoomed in on his profile picture. He was sitting in a restaurant, a reflection of a woman's hand with red painted nails visible in the wine glass. Her vision blurred, but her mind was crystal clear. No more excuses. No more self-blame. She wasn't paranoid. She was betrayed. Calmly, she took photos of every document, every receipt, every picture, and sent them to Serena's encrypted email. Then she placed everything back exactly where it had been. That night, Jalin came home past 10, smelling of alcohol. Astra sat silently on the sofa, her face unreadable. "Honey, you're still awake?" he asked, trying to sound casual. "You smell like perfume," she said flatly. "I don't like it." He laughed nervously. "It's from work. Clients wear strong scents." "Oh, really?" she said, looking straight into his eyes. "Is Valerie a client too?" His expression froze. The color drained from his face. What are you talking about?" "Nothing," she said, rising from the sofa. "You must be exhausted. Entertaining clients every night must be hard." He tried to follow, babbling excuses, but she cut him off. "I'm tired. Going to bed." She closed the bedroom door behind her. Through the wood, she could hear him pacing, whispering into his phone, no doubt warning Valerie. Her phone vibrated once more. Evidence received. With this, he's done. Come to the office tomorrow. And this time, listen to me. Astra smiled faintly and deleted the conversation. Lying in the dark, she felt a calm she hadn't known in years. The old Astra would have cried all night. This one was already planning her next move. When Jalin slipped into bed, pretending to sleep, she turned toward him and whispered into the silence, "What resort are you going to in Palm Springs?" His body stiffened. "Just a regular one. Company deal." "Oh, really?" she said softly. "Not the Oasis Club again? The villas with private pools look so lovely." He shot up, pale and trembling. "Have you been spying on me?" "Spying?" she chuckled. "You forgot to block me on Facebook last November. The check-in post was public. By the way, the Tiffany's necklace in the photo was beautiful." His face contorted with anger. "Astra, how dare you look at my phone?" "Compared to you cheating on me," she said coolly, "looking at your phone seems like a small thing." She turned off the lamp. "Let's get a divorce, Jalin. You can go live with Valerie. I'll live in peace." He laughed bitterly. "Divorce? Half this house is mine. How will you survive on your measly salary? You'll crawl back to me." Astra smiled into the dark. "We'll see." And for the first time in 3 years, she slept soundly. The first light of dawn spilled through the blinds when Astra quietly rose from bed. She moved around the room like a ghost, collecting her purse, her documents, and the courage she'd been missing for years. Jalin was still asleep, his breathing heavy and careless, as if the world outside their bedroom didn't exist. She looked at him one last time and whispered, "You'll regret underestimating me." Then she slipped out of the house and into the crisp morning air. Serena answered the phone before the first ring had even finished. "Tell me you didn't change your mind." "I'm on my way," Astra said. "It's time I get back what's mine." When she arrived at Serena's downtown office, the city was just beginning to stir. Cars honking, coffee carts clinking, people rushing into tall glass towers. For the first time in years, Astra felt alive. Serena met her in the lobby with 2 cups of steaming coffee. "You look like a woman about to go to war." "I am," Astra replied, and they both smiled grimly. Inside the conference room, stacks of papers covered the table. Printouts of the evidence, screenshots, statements, everything Astra had sent the night before. The situation is worse than I thought, Serena said, adjusting her glasses. According to these statements, he transferred over $300,000 to that Valerie woman in the past 2 years. That's clear dissipation of marital assets. Astra exhaled slowly. The number was like a slap, but she didn't flinch. And it gets uglier, Serena continued. 3 months ago, he took out a massive loan, $800,000, supposedly for home renovations. Astra's eyes widened. What? We never renovated anything. Exactly, Serena said. 1 week after receiving the money, he transferred it to Valerie in 5 installments. I believe he bought her a house. Astra gripped the table. So that's where all the missing money went. Serena nodded. And there's more. Look at this. She turned her laptop toward Astra. On the screen were messages between Jalin and his brother Marcus. Astra's acting weird. I think she suspects Valerie. Don't worry, Marcus had replied. Her name's on the deed, but yours is too. Even if she objects, she can't stop the mortgage. Just get Mum to talk to her. Astra stared at the words until they blurred. They were planning to mortgage my house for his brother's condo, she said in disbelief. Yes, Serena confirmed. And here's the worst part. Legally, if the property is jointly owned, sometimes one owner's signature is enough to move forward. We need to act before they do. So what do we do? Astra asked, her voice trembling with anger. We strike first, Serena said firmly. Your parents paid the down payment. You funded most of the renovation. You have receipts, bank records, everything. If we can prove he falsified the deed, we can not only void the mortgage, but have him charged with fraud. Astra's pulse quickened. I noticed something odd on the deed. The stamp looked different. And the signature, it didn't look like mine. Serena's eyes flashed with excitement. If we can prove forgery, he's finished. They worked out the plan. Gather more evidence, verify the deed's authenticity, file the divorce petition, and prepare for a possible criminal case. Before Astra left, Serena handed her a small set of keys. Stay at my apartment. It's empty. Don't go home tonight. If Jalin realizes what you're doing, he might lose control. Astra nodded, touched by her friend's loyalty. As she stepped out of the building, the Los Angeles sun hit her face, sharp and bright like a new beginning. Her phone rang. Jalin. She took a deep breath and answered. Astra, where are you? Mum said you still haven't sent the gift boxes. She needs them by tomorrow. Astra almost laughed. After everything, he was worried about gift boxes. They're already ordered, she said calmly. They'll be delivered this afternoon. Oh, he replied, thrown off. Hey, about last night. You were drunk, she interrupted. You said nonsense. He laughed awkwardly. Yeah, I guess I did. Anyway, when will you be home? I'll be late, Astra said. Something came up at work. She hung up before he could reply. Her next stop was the county recorder's office. With the original deed copy her parents had given her, she requested access to the property's historical records. What she found made her blood run cold. The original deed listed Astra Miller 70%, Jalin Black 30%, tenancy in common. The current record showed joint tenancy 50-50. Someone had changed it, and that someone could only be Jalin. Astra took photos, sent them to Serena, and received a reply almost instantly. He's done for. We just need the forged original. But getting it would be dangerous. Jalin must have hidden it carefully. Astra decided to take a risk. That afternoon, while he was in a meeting, she returned home. The moment she stepped inside, her stomach twisted. The house was a mess. Drawers open, papers scattered. Someone had been searching for something. From upstairs came faint noises. The office. She crept up quietly and peered through the crack in the door. Jallan was sweating, rifling through documents, muttering curses under his breath. He was looking for the deed. Astra backed away silently, then slammed the front door loudly to announce her arrival. "Honey, I'm home." There was a startled crash upstairs. "Oh, hi, honey," he called down, trying to sound casual. "I was just looking for some papers in the office." Astra entered the room. His smile was too wide, his eyes too bright. "What papers?" she asked sweetly. "Oh, just work stuff," he said quickly. "By the way, have you seen the house deed? I need it for some loan application." "Bingo." She pretended to think. Actually, I took it to make a copy for the homeowners association. My mom has it." Jallan's face went pale. "What? Why would you give her something so important?" "My mom's family," she said, feigning innocence. "What's the problem with that?" He was speechless, a vein throbbing in his temple. "Get it back. Now. I need it urgently." "She's traveling," Astra replied lightly. "Won't be back until next month. You can always use your condo as collateral." He scowled. "Forget it. I'll handle it." As he turned to leave, he hesitated. "Hey, do you really not remember what I said last night?" Astra smiled. "You said plenty. About Valerie, Palm Springs, the necklace." His face drained of color. "I'm kidding," she said smoothly. "You didn't say anything. You slept like a rock." Relief flooded his face. He stepped closer, attempting to hug her. "Honey, I've been so busy lately. I know I've neglected you. After the trip, we'll go somewhere. Just the two of us." She sidestepped his arms. "You should pack. You have an early flight tomorrow." Defeated, he nodded and walked upstairs. When the door closed, Astra exhaled and went straight to work. She searched the office from top to bottom, and finally, on the highest shelf inside a thick legal manual, she found it. The forged deed. Her signature, copied perfectly, but not hers. She photographed it, put it back, and continued searching. In the drawer beneath, she found something worse. A drafted mortgage contract for the house. Loan amount, 800,000. Purpose, joint family investment. And the signature line, her name, forged again. Her hands trembled as she took photos of everything. Then her phone rang. Her mother-in-law. "Astra, did you send those gift boxes? They must have gold trimming, not the cheap ones." The woman barked. "And don't forget to water the plants and air my pickles while we're away." "Yes, Mom," Astra replied in a tone sweet enough to poison. When the call ended, she packed her essentials and left the house for good. That night, at Serena's apartment, she finally broke down. She called her parents, told them everything. Her father's voice was firm. "Whatever happens, we're with you. We gave you that house. Don't let anyone take it from you." Her mother wept softly in the background. "My poor girl, you carried all this alone." Astra pressed the phone to her heart, tears streaming down her face. She wasn't alone anymore. That night, for the first time in years, she cried not from despair, but from relief. The morning light in Serena's apartment was soft and golden, filtering through thin curtains that danced with the wind. Astra woke to silence. No footsteps, no shouting, no tension filling the air. For the first time in years, she felt what peace sounded like. Her phone was full of missed calls from Jallan, but she ignored them. He had already sent one last message. Unexpected business trip. I'll meet the family in Palm Springs. We'll talk about the house later. Astra almost laughed. Talk about the house later? He still thought he was in control. She brewed coffee and opened her laptop. Serena had sent her a list titled Action Plan. Step 1. Secure personal assets. Step 2. Report deed as lost. Step 3. Request legal protection for the property. Astra checked her accounts first. Her salary had always gone to a bank account Jalan didn't know existed. 3 years of careful saving, $60,000. The joint account held $35,000, which she promptly froze, citing suspected fraudulent activity. That way, Jalan couldn't touch a cent while he was on his family trip. Her phone rang. Her father. "Honey, I spoke with my old friend, Mr. Jameson. He's a senior lawyer who handles real estate cases. He'll meet you this afternoon. You need to act fast." Astra felt her throat tighten. "Dad, I'm sorry I didn't listen to you before." "What nonsense," he said firmly. "We all make mistakes. The important thing is, you fix them. Your mother and I are flying to Los Angeles tonight. You're not fighting alone anymore." Tears stung Astra's eyes. "Thank you, Dad." By noon, she was standing again in the county recorder's office, this time stronger. She filed an official report claiming the house deed as lost and requested an urgent reissue. The clerk, an older woman with kind eyes, explained, "Once this report is published, the previous deed becomes invalid. No one can use it for any transaction." Astra's heart lifted for the first time. "So, if someone tries to mortgage it, it won't work," the woman confirmed. "But if you want complete protection, you can also request a temporary prohibition on disposition. That prevents any sale or mortgage entirely." Astra filled out the form immediately. In the reason section, she wrote in careful letters, "Suspected falsification of documents by co-owner." When she walked out of the building, sunlight hit her face. For the first time, it didn't burn. It felt like victory. But that moment of calm didn't last. Her phone rang. An unfamiliar voice introduced herself as a real estate agent from Sun Realty. "Hello, Ms. Miller. We received a listing request for your property yesterday. A buyer's offering $1,150,000. When can we meet?" Astra froze. "I didn't list my house for sale." "Oh," the agent replied, confused. "A Mr. Jalan Black came in with the deed and a copy of your ID. He said you had both agreed." Astra's voice hardened. "Listen carefully. That listing is fraudulent. The deed he brought is invalid and under investigation. If your agency proceeds, you'll face a lawsuit for aiding fraud. Is that clear?" The agent stammered. Yes, of course. I'll cancel it immediately." Astra hung up and immediately called Serena. "That bastard," Serena hissed. "He's trying to sell the house before we can stop him." "What do we do?" Astra asked, gripping the phone. "First, we alert every major real estate agency and bank about the ongoing litigation. Then we file the lawsuit for falsification and forgery. And—" Serena paused. "Astra, maybe you should sell the house yourself, on your terms. Take everything away from him." Astra was quiet for a long moment. She looked around Serena's apartment, small but warm. Her heart still hurt at the thought of losing the place she had built with her own hands. But what was left there, really? Memories she no longer wanted. "I'll sell it," she said finally. "But after I regain full ownership." "Good," Serena said with satisfaction. "Your parents and Mr. Jameson will meet you at 3 this afternoon. He'll guide you through everything." When Astra arrived at the hotel conference room, her mother rushed forward and hugged her tightly. "You've lost weight," she whispered, eyes glistening. "I'm fine, Mom. Really." "Mr. Jameson," A calm, grey-haired man with sharp eyes spread the documents across the table. He studied the photos, the bank statements, the messages. "The evidence is solid," he said finally. "This man falsified a private document, forged a signature, and transferred marital assets to another woman. These are serious offences." "Will he go to prison?" Astra asked softly. "Possibly. But that's up to the prosecutor. For now, our goal is to secure your assets and finalize the divorce. We'll file for immediate restraining orders to freeze his accounts. Then, we'll submit a divorce petition citing fraud, adultery, and forgery." Astra nodded. "That's all I want. To end it and take back what's mine." Mr. Jameson looked at her with quiet admiration. "You're stronger than most people I've met in this job." The meeting lasted hours. When they finally left, the sun was setting, painting the city gold and crimson. Astra felt lighter than she had in years, but the battle had only just begun. The next morning, Mr. Jameson called. "Good news. The restraining order has been approved. His bank accounts are frozen as of today." Astra smiled, gripping the phone. "Thank you. Now, we'll proceed with the divorce petition. You'll receive the documents tomorrow for signature?" But even victory came with new danger. Serena called moments later. "He knows Astra. Jalen's been to the house with his parents. They were yelling at the doorman, demanding he let them in." Astra's jaw tightened. "Let them scream. The law's on my side now." She still had to retrieve her belongings, though. The thought of stepping into that house again made her skin crawl, yet she couldn't let them take anything. That afternoon, she drove back to the neighborhood where her life had once seemed perfect. The familiar gate, the trimmed hedges, the same white roses she'd planted when she first moved in. Everything looked the same, but she was no longer the woman who belonged here. Inside, she started packing. The clothes she loved, her books, her jewelry, the dishes she'd chosen with care. Every item went into boxes like pieces of her old self. Halfway through, the doorbell rang. Astra froze. Through the peephole, she saw a woman in a suit holding a folder. "Good afternoon," the woman said politely. "Is this the residence of Mr. Jalen Black? I'm from ABC Bank. He asked me to pick up some documents, the property deed, and your original ID." Astra's pulse quickened, but her face remained calm. She opened the door only slightly. "I'm sorry. I don't know anything about that. The deed isn't here." The woman frowned. "But Mr. Black—" "It doesn't matter what he said," Astra interrupted coldly. "You should check the latest public notices. This property is under legal dispute. Any bank attempting to issue a loan on it will be subject to criminal liability." The woman's expression changed immediately. "Understood," she said quickly, and left. Astra locked the door, then sat on the stairs, breathing deeply until her hands stopped shaking. She picked up her phone and sent a formal email to every major bank, officially notifying them of the litigation. That night, when the last box was sealed, she stood in the living room, surrounded by emptiness. The movers arrived to take everything away. Before leaving, Astra walked through each room one last time. The kitchen where she had cooked alone, the office where betrayal was discovered, the bedroom where love had quietly died. She took a small box from her nightstand. Inside were her grandmother's pearl earrings, the only thing of true value she'd ever owned. She locked the front door, handed the key to the doorman, and said quietly, "If anyone comes asking about the house, direct them to my lawyer." He looked concerned. "Miss Miller? Is everything all right?" She smiled softly. "It will be." Driving away, Astra didn't look back. In the distance, Los Angeles shimmered in twilight. a city of endings and beginnings. Her phone buzzed. It was Serena. Restraining order granted. All accounts frozen. The lost deed notice is official. He can't touch anything now. Astra exhaled. The war had truly begun, and for the first time, she knew she was winning. 3 days later, Los Angeles woke under a pale sky that promised a storm. Astra sat in Mr. Jameson's office, signing the last page of the divorce petition. Each stroke of her pen felt like a blade cutting through the last threads that bound her to Jalon. Mr. Jameson placed the papers in a folder. The court will deliver the notification to Mr. Black's current location in Palm Springs. By this afternoon, he'll know everything. Astra nodded. Her hands were steady. Good. The sooner the better. Mr. Jameson looked at her over his glasses. He'll be furious. If you wish, I can request temporary police protection. She smiled faintly. No, I'm done being afraid. Barely an hour later, her phone rang. Serena's voice crackled with excitement. He received the notice. His cards are frozen, his accounts locked. He tried to fly back, but couldn't even buy a ticket. He had to borrow money from his brother. Astra couldn't help it. A soft, humorless laugh escaped her. Fitting, isn't it? By evening, Serena called again. Her tone was different this time. Tense. Astra, he's back. He went straight to the house with his parents. They're shouting at the doorman, demanding he open the gate. Astra looked out the window at the fading sun. Let them. I'm on my way. When she and Mr. Jameson arrived, they could hear the chaos from the street. Her mother-in-law's sharp voice pierced the air. My son is the owner of this house. You have no right to lock him out. Did that woman bribe you? The doorman, nervous and sweating, tried to explain. Ma'am, Ms. Miller filed an official report. Legally, she's the only one authorized. That's nonsense, barked her father-in-law. Half this house belongs to my son. Who does she think she is? Astra pushed the gate open and stepped inside. The noise fell to silence. Good afternoon, she said calmly. How was the trip to Palm Springs? The family photo turned out beautiful. All three of them turned to her, stunned. Jalon's face was flushed purple, his mother's twisted with rage. Astra! The older woman shrieked. You ungrateful witch! After everything we've done for you! Mr. Jameson stepped forward smoothly. Ma'am, I advise you not to touch my client. Physical assault is a criminal offense. We are recording this conversation. Her hand froze mid-air. Jalon shoved his mother aside. So this is what you've been up to? Bringing lawyers against your own family? Family? Astra repeated softly. That word seems to mean something different to you than it does to me. Jalon's voice rose. What do you want? It's simple, she said evenly. A divorce, and everything that's mine, back in my name. You must be out of your mind, he snapped. My name's on the deed too. You can't keep it all. Astra opened her folder and held up the documents. This is the original registration. The house was a tenancy in common. 70% mine, 30% yours. You changed it illegally to a joint tenancy. That's forgery. Jalon's face drained of color. That's a lie. And that's not all, she continued. You forged my signature on a mortgage contract and transferred over $300,000 to your mistress. Under the law, not only will you lose your share, you'll owe me compensation. Her mother-in-law's voice cracked. Impossible. My son supported you for years. He paid for everything. Supported me? Astra almost laughed. He gave me $100 a month. I paid the mortgage, the bills, the groceries, all of it. The only thing your son paid for was his mother's jewelry." Silence fell. Even her father-in-law's bluster died out. "Finally," he said, trying for diplomacy, "Astra, there's no need to go to these extremes. A man can make mistakes." "A small mistake?" she interrupted coldly. "Forgery, fraud, infidelity. Those are small mistakes to you?" Jalen's temper exploded. He lunged toward her, trying to grab the folder from her hands. Mr. Jameson blocked him instantly. "Mr. Black," the lawyer said calmly, "attempting to destroy evidence will not help your case." Jalen glared at him, chest heaving. "Astra, don't push me. I know people. I can make sure you never work in this city again." "Threats?" Mr. Jameson asked, pressing the record button on his phone. "Thank you. That will be very useful in court." Jalen froze, realizing what he'd just done. His shoulders sagged. "Astra," he said, voice suddenly soft, pleading. "I'm sorry. I was wrong. I'll end things with Valerie. Let's just start over." Astra looked at him. This man she had once loved so deeply. The man she had defended against her parents, forgiven time after time. All she felt now was emptiness. "It's too late," she said quietly. "You've had every chance. I just want my freedom." He flinched, as if struck. Then his expression hardened again. "You think you've won? I'll drag this out for years. Let's see who breaks first." "That's not up to you," Mr. Jameson replied, handing him another folder. "This contains evidence of your cohabitation with Ms. Valerie. Bank transfers, photos, and recorded conversations. If necessary, we'll submit it to court and request compensation for emotional distress." Jalen's bravado crumbled. He sank into a chair like a deflated balloon. His mother tried to speak, but her husband placed a hand on her arm. Even he understood now. The fight was over. Astra looked at them all, the family that had once made her feel so small, so disposable. "You have 3 days," she said calmly. "If you sign the mutual divorce agreement, I'll let it end quietly. If not, we go to court, and you face every legal consequence." With that, she turned and walked away, leaving them speechless in the lobby. Outside, the sunlight had broken through the clouds. She stopped for a moment, feeling its warmth on her skin. It felt like the first breath after drowning. Her phone buzzed. An email from her friend Emma, the one who had moved to Singapore years ago. "We just opened a marketing director position at our Singapore office. Are you still interested?" Astra smiled. "Yes," she whispered to herself. "I think I am." Mr. Jameson caught up with her at the car. "You handled that beautifully. What will you do next?" "I'll sell the house," she said without hesitation. "Then I'll leave." He nodded approvingly. "Good choice. But be careful. Men like him don't give up easily." "I know," she said, looking back at the house one last time. "But neither do I." That night, Astra packed the last of her belongings at the small apartment. She stared at the city lights outside her window, her reflection looking back at her, no longer broken, but whole. She whispered to herself, "Tomorrow, I begin again." For a few quiet days, the world seemed merciful. Astra woke early, brewed her coffee, and began the slow process of reclaiming her life, step by step, breath by breath. She met with real estate agents, answered calls from lawyers, and began preparing the house for sale. But peace never lasts long when pride is wounded. On the 5th morning, Serena burst into the cafe where Astra was working on her laptop. "He's at it," she said breathlessly, dropping her phone on the table. Astra looked at the screen. Her heart didn't race, It simply went cold. The post on social media was unmistakably Jalen's. I gave her everything. My family took her in, and she repaid us with betrayal. Now she's trying to take my house and my savings. Don't believe the lies. Some people will do anything for money. Thousands of comments already filled the thread. Sympathy, curiosity, gossip. His followers, his co-workers, his friends, all joining the performance. Astra stared at the photo he'd posted, one from their wedding day. Her smile was radiant, his arm around her. The perfect illusion. Don't respond, Serena said sharply. Let the lawyers handle it. But Astra's voice was calm, almost eerily steady. No. He wants me silent, because silence has always protected him. Not this time. Within an hour, she opened her own account, one she had barely touched in years, and began typing. 3 years ago, I married a man I believed in. I stood by him through everything. I worked, saved, and built a home we both could share. What I didn't know was that he was sharing himself with someone else and using my name to do it. She attached the photos, the forged deed, the transfers, the luxury gifts to Valerie, all neatly blurred to hide sensitive numbers. The truth doesn't need anger. It needs light. And sometimes, shining that light is the only way to survive. She hit post. The effect was instant. Within minutes, her post began to spread. People who had once pitied Jalen started asking questions. Why would she have these documents if she were lying? Why would a lawyer file charges if nothing was true? By evening, his post was deleted. Serena grinned when she saw it. You just destroyed him with grace. Astra smiled faintly. I'm done hiding. But Jalen wasn't finished. The next day, she received an email from her salon. Her manager looked horrified. Astra, I'm so sorry. Someone sent screenshots of that drama to the company email. They're saying it's bad for our image. It was him, Serena muttered darkly. Trying to ruin your career now. Astra stood tall. Then I'll quit before he fires me. I won't let him control even this. The manager tried to protest, but Astra's mind was already made up. She walked out with her head high. Outside, she called Serena. I'm not going to fight him in the mud. I'm moving forward. I got a message from Emma. There's an opening in Singapore. I'm applying. Serena exhaled. You should. You've spent enough time surviving. It's time to live. That evening, Astra sat in the small apartment with her laptop glowing softly in the dark. She filled out the application, her resume, her portfolio, her letter. When she reached the box labeled, "Why do you want this job?" she paused before typing, "Because I'm ready to start again, not from fear, but from freedom." She hit send. Hours later, her phone buzzed with an email. We received your application. The executive director would like to meet you this week via video call. Astra smiled, tears pricking her eyes. For the first time, the future didn't terrify her, but just as she allowed herself that fragile relief, the storm returned. Late that night, her phone rang. Unknown number. Against her better judgment, she answered. Enjoying your little fame? Jalen's voice dripped with venom. You think posting your sob story will make people forget what you did to me? What I did? Astra asked quietly. You ruined my life, he shouted. I lost clients. My firm suspended me because of your lies. You forged my name, stole my money, and cheated with another woman, she said. You ruined your own life. I just told the truth. He laughed bitterly. Truth? You think the truth matters? People forget. You'll be nothing but a headline. Maybe, she said softly, but at least I'll be free. He hissed something she couldn't quite make out, then hung up. The silence afterward felt heavy, but clean, like the air after thunder. The next morning, Mr. Jameson called. He tried to file a counter-complaint for defamation. It was rejected within the hour. The court accepted our evidence. Astra almost laughed. I suppose the universe has a sense of humor. A few hours later, her phone rang again, this time from an unfamiliar international number. Hello, Astra. The voice on the line was warm and professional. This is Karen from Horizon Media, Singapore. We reviewed your portfolio. We'd love to have you as part of our team. Can you relocate within 2 months? Astra's breath caught. Yes, she said, her voice trembling with joy. Yes, I can. When she hung up, Serena was already calling. You got it, didn't you? Yes, Astra said, laughing through tears. I did. They celebrated that night with cheap champagne on Serena's tiny balcony, the city lights stretching endlessly below. You know, Serena said, raising her glass, you didn't just survive him. You conquered him. And yourself. Astra smiled. Maybe that's what freedom really means. As the clock struck midnight, her phone buzzed with a new message. From Valerie. He lost everything. He blames you, but he also blames me. He's dangerous, Astra. Be careful. Astra stared at the message for a long moment. Then she replied simply, I'm not afraid anymore. The next morning, she stood before the mirror, the woman she used to be long gone. The reflection staring back at her was fierce, calm, and entirely her own. The sale of the house went through that same week, for 1.2 million. Every penny legally hers. She donated a portion to a women's shelter and transferred the rest into her Singapore account. Before boarding her flight, she visited the house one final time. The new owners were kind, a young couple expecting their first child. The rooms were filled with light again. Astra touched the wall by the front door and whispered, Thank you for holding me when no one else did. Then she walked out without looking back. As the plane lifted off hours later, clouds rolled beneath her like soft silver fields. She thought of everything she'd lost, and everything she'd found within herself. Her life had been burned down to ashes, but from those ashes, she had rebuilt something stronger. Freedom. Singapore smelled like rain and possibility. The air was warm, thick with humidity, and the faint scent of orchids. Astra stood at the edge of her new apartment's balcony, 20 stories above a glowing city that pulsed like a living heart. Below, traffic hummed softly. Somewhere in the distance, thunder rolled like a sleepy giant. She closed her eyes and inhaled deeply. For the first time in a very long time, she didn't feel trapped inside someone else's life. This one belonged entirely to her. Days became weeks. She settled into her new rhythm. Mornings at Horizon Media, evenings walking by Marina Bay, weekends exploring hidden cafes and night markets. The city was alive, and so was she. At work, she was sharp, calm, unshakable. People admired her quiet confidence, her grace under pressure. No one here knew her past, and she didn't feel the need to explain. One afternoon, her boss, Karen, stopped by her desk. You're doing amazing work, Astra. I can tell you've lived a few lives before this one. Astra smiled. Maybe I have. She spent her evenings writing again, something she hadn't done in years. Little essays about resilience, healing, starting over. She didn't name herself as the woman in those stories, but anyone who read them could feel the truth between the lines. Her words began to spread quietly online, finding people who needed them. One evening, after a long day, she returned home, barefoot, humming softly. The apartment was filled with the scent of jasmine tea. She sat at her desk to check her mail. Mostly work, some letters from her parents, a few from Serena, now engaged and glowing with joy. But one envelope stood out. Cream-coloured, no return address, her name written in neat, masculine handwriting. Her heart paused. She knew that handwriting. For a long time, she just stared at it. Then, with a steady breath, she opened it. Inside was a single sheet of paper. Dear Astra, by the time you read this, I'll be gone for a while. You probably think I'm writing to beg forgiveness, but I'm not that naive anymore. I've lost everything. My career, my reputation, the family's respect. Valerie left too. Turns out she only loved the money I don't have anymore. The funny thing is, I don't hate you. Maybe I did for a while. But now I see you were the only one who ever really told me the truth. I built my whole life on lies, and when you took that away, I had nothing left to stand on. I signed the final papers. The house is yours. It should have been from the start. I hope you do something good with the life you got back. Don't worry. I'm not planning anything stupid. I'm going somewhere quiet to start over. Maybe someday I'll learn to be the kind of man you thought I was. Goodbye, Astra. Jalan. She sat in silence, the letter trembling in her hands. Outside, rain began to fall, soft and steady. For the first time, his words didn't make her angry. They made her sad. Not for him, but for the boy he must have been before pride swallowed him whole. She folded the letter carefully and placed it in a drawer. It no longer hurt. It was simply a part of the story that had brought her here. The next morning, she woke to a message from Serena. Astra, the women's shelter you donated to. They named a new program after you. The Miller Foundation for Women's Independence. I'm so proud of you. Astra smiled through tears. Independence, she whispered. That's what it was all about, wasn't it? Later that evening, she met with Karen at a rooftop bar overlooking the glittering city. The air was thick with warmth and the soft buzz of conversation. Karen raised a glass. To new beginnings, she said. To surviving them, Astra replied. They clinked glasses, laughter light as wind. When she returned home, the rain had stopped. The moon hung low over the skyline, silver and serene. Astra stepped onto the balcony, her bare feet cool against the tile, her hair catching the wind. Below her, the city shimmered, 1,000 windows glowing like tiny fires. She whispered, I forgive you, Jalan. Not for you, for me. And with that, she finally let go. She took a deep breath, turned, and sat at her desk. A new document glowed on her laptop screen. The title read, The Woman Who Sold the House. She began to type, not to relive, but to transform. Her words flowed freely, not from pain anymore, but from power. Outside, lightning flashed across the horizon, illuminating the sky for a brief, dazzling second. It was as if the universe itself whispered back, You made it. Astra smiled, fingers still moving across the keys. The past was finished. The future, finally, was hers.